What's happening, people, and welcome back to GavGoesIn. Big up yourselves, big up yourselves. Make sure, guys, you check out all my other content as well. Obviously, great to the game we're going to do. There's quite a few players that I've discussed on there already. So, yeah, make sure you guys give that a check. But today's one, we're going to talk about a striker for me that is one of my favourite strikers of all time. I often forget about this player sometimes, when I mention strikers. Some of my favourite strikers, the likes of R9, Karim Benzema, Adriano, to name a few. And this guy is right up there for me as well. Obviously Gabriel Batshut is another one, but this guy is right up there for me, and a guy that, he more or less came to the fore, he more or less had more recognition when he started moving from certain clubs, and in terms of strikers, I don't see a striker like this in the era of football right now, and he's definitely for me one of the top ones without doubt in his era. Obviously he holds the record as well for the highest goal scorer for his national team as well, and a guy that had great movement, great finishing, was very technical as well. Wasn't really physically imposing, but again, playing in a league like La Liga, it wasn't really called for that. And as I said, I think he's probably the best striker that his national team has produced, and that's none other than David Villa. And David Villa, for me, what a player he was, man. I first came aware of David Villa when he was playing for Real Zaragoza. Obviously, he started his career at Sporting Gijon. But Real Zaragoza for me is where he where I became aware of him. And then obviously he made the move from Zaragoza to Valencia. And then Valencia is where he put himself on the map, really. And then obviously got the move to Barcelona, So, yeah, for me, man, what a player he was. And for me, I'm not seeing Spain produce a striker like that. They've had Raul, they've had Fernando Morientes, Fernando Torres, they got Morata, Rodrigo is another one as well. But David Villa for me is the best of the lot. I'd argue that of anyone. He was that good for me, And as I said, man, they don't really make strikers like that no more. And it's good to kind of remember, players like this. And I'll advise anyone, if you get a chance, go and watch David Villa, some clips on YouTube of just how good he was, man. As I said, diminutive in size, had pace, technical, like he had it all, man, for me, and what a striker he was. And as I said, man, yeah, he's moved to Barcelona, which we're going to discuss anyway. It was probably a move, and it was a move that needed to happen. But in terms of getting the best from him, from what he was doing before, people might have a difference of opinion and say, it was good in terms of him going there to win trophies. But in terms of how good he could have been, people might have a difference of opinion, But we'll get into that. But let's go through the numbers anyway. So, as I mentioned earlier, Spain's all-time top leading goal scorer, and we're going to go through numbers. So, Valencia, 225 appearances, 129 goals. New York City, 126 appearances, 80 goals. Barcelona, 119 appearances, 48 goals. And we are going to touch on that as to why that number is quite low. Because, again, there's a reason for that. Zaragoza, 39 goals in 94 appearances. Sporting Gijon, 41 goals in 84 appearances. Atletico Madrid, 15 goals in 47 appearances. Vissel Kobe in Japan, 13 goals in 29 appearances. Obviously, that's when he's on the end of his career. The same with Melbourne City in Australia, 2 goals in 4 appearances. And obviously Spain, 98 appearances and 59 goals. Now, as I said, man, when he was at Zaragoza, the guy was obviously a standout player for them and was clearly destined to be going to a bigger club, because of his goal scoring prowess. And if I'm right in saying, he might have been included in the Spain squad when he was still at Zaragoza. I'm not sure. Or it might have been Valencia, but that's something I have to check. But in terms of the Zaragoza, again, I still watch him quite regularly. And he was clearly one of the best players that's playing for a lower team in the league that should be playing for one of the big teams, you know. And then Valencia took a punt on him, you know. And if anyone remembers the Valencia team, the attack they had, yeah, they had an attack of Joaquin on the right, David Silva in the 10. I think it was Vicente or Mata. I think it might have been Vicente on the left-hand side. And then David Villa through the middle, you know. And again, that attack there was frightening. It was frightening, you know, because I think I think Mata might have come through when David Silva moved on. I can't remember. But yeah, what an attack that was with David Elbelda, Ruben Baraka behind that as well in the midfield. And again, if you're from that era, you'll know what team I'm talking about. But as I said, man, he came to prominence playing for Valencia with that attack. Because that attack there was arguably, in terms of four, was one of the best in the league, no doubt. You know what I mean? And then obviously that prompted the move from Barcelona to get him. Now, when he came to Barcelona, if anyone actually remembers, this is when, you know, Pep Guardiola was, you know, moving Messi into becoming the Messi that we all know. Because again, Messi come through playing out wide, you know, when they had Eto'o and Henry. And then slowly Pep was trying to change Messi's position to playing as a false nine. And then when David Villa come to the club, you know, obviously had Pedro on the other side as well. You know, many probably would have thought that, you know, that David Villa is going to play through the middle. But David Villa kind of adapted his game to playing as an inside forward from the left. So Messi could play the false nine. And obviously Pedro was on the right. Now, again, there's no slight that David Villa's numbers wasn't the same as it could have been. Because you'd think him going to Barcelona where they dominate possession, you know, he's going to be getting a lot of numbers. But again, the team was revolved around Messi. And if anyone's forgotten, I think that might have been the season, or it was that period when David Villa was there, where Messi got 91 goals in a calendar year, which is just insane. Yeah. And David Villa was a huge part of the attack as well. Because David Villa was that intelligent. He adapted his game to playing from the left as an inside forward and linking up with Messi and using his pace in the flanks, just like Pedro as well. So that's why the numbers might seem slightly low. But again, if you watch Barcelona's games, you'll see just how crucial a player that David Villa was for them, you know. But let's go on to the individual honours. So 1 Champions League with Barca, 3 La Ligas with Barca as well, 3 Copa del Reys. I'm not sure if Valencia might have been in there with one of them. 1 FIFA Club World Cup, 1 UEFA Super Cup, 3 Supercopa de Españas, and then 1 Emperor's Cup. Yeah? And then individual, Golden Boot. I don't know if that was in the World Cup, funny enough. I can't remember. He got the World Cup Silver Shoe, 2nd place, and the Bronze Ball, 3rd place. 1 Confederations Cup Bronze Shoe. 1 Spanish Player of the Year, which is surprising, you know, as how good of a player he was. And then he's the 4th highest scoring Spanish player in the Liga. And I think that might be behind the likes of probably Raul. Don't know if Torres is in there. I'm not too sure. But 4th highest scoring Spanish player anyway. Yeah. And as I said, what a player he was, man. He was genuinely a player of real quality, you know. And again, it showed his intelligence going to Barcelona, where he adapted his game to more or less, you know, dovetail with Messi, you know. And again, you can't really blame anyone really that has to play second fiddle to Lionel Messi, because Lionel Messi is just that player, you know what I mean? But as I said, man, I thoroughly enjoyed watching David Villa, man. As I said, one of my favourite all-time strikers to watch. And again, they don't make strikers like this, man. And it's a shame, because it would be good, man, to see more strikers like that, you know, coming through the game right now. But unfortunately, it's not where we're at. But guys, let me know what you think. Let me know how good you thought David Villa was. Let me know how you think, what you think of David Villa in terms of his standing in terms of Spanish strikers. Do you think he's at the top, or do you think there's other strikers there that were probably better than him? Let me know in the comments. As always, guys, make sure you smash the like button. Make sure you sub to the channel, and make sure you check out all the other content on the channel as well. As I said, there's quite a few players that I've spoken about already, greats to the game. So yeah, make sure you guys check that out and let me know in the comments. And yeah, guys, I'll catch you on another one. Take it easy.